Welcome back to the second quarterfinal here in the May Melee. I'm Mitch Leslie, joined by Matthew Morello, and this one's a bit spicy, Matt.
Yeah.
The Atlanta Reign take on the Florida Mayhem. Florida choose Atlanta here, and the ensuing back and forth between them is kind of spicy.
Yeah, you know, Atlanta, they've had an up and down month. You know, they beat the teams they're supposed to beat, and then against the top competition, they haven't really looked that special. That's scary. But when they win the other day, and when they win the fashion they do, I think a lot of people were kind of surprised that Florida picked them.
Yeah, I think, and what we heard from Kuki was just like, look, just wait and see. You know, we feel confident, we have a plan, or at least it seemed to be the case. I mean, the Florida Mayhem, I really feel like this part of the year and of the season is where we see, you know, teams really cement things. Like if Dallas beat San Francisco, I'm like, all right, this is like an era for Dallas where when hero pools are taken away, they're able to demonstrate some serious ability. And Florida, maybe an era change is coming. Let's now jump into our connections presented by Xfinity, Matt, as I want everybody to cast their minds back, painfully for some, to 2019 Florida Mayhem.
Right, I had to laugh a little bit when you were like, it's a changing of the era for the Florida Mayhem. I feel like that's all we've said about them for the first 2 years. Is like, this is where they turn it around. and then they just continued to just be bad. I mean, they were historically bad the first 2 seasons, right? I know first season, they're the team that places higher than the Shanghai Dragons, and not really much to write home about. Last season, it was like, hey, we're coming in with a new roster. We got a bunch of people that are playing well towards the end of last season that we have held over. Didn't start out good. They added a bunch of players middle of the season, though, that are making impacts this season, though.
Yeah, I mean, let's have a look at this roster. I mean, they say goodbye to DPI, who goes to Lucky Future, if I'm not mistaken, and Rain, who goes to the Valiant, who looks really good over there. He's thriving in that environment, but they bring in, crucially, Yaki and Gangnam Jin from Runaway, a team just blazing a trail over in Korea. And, I mean, they're a known quantity at that point as they come into the league. We know that Yaki was incredibly good across a ton of projectile, Doomfist heroes. The Sombra was there. And Gangnam Jin, you know, like the second coming of Jaehong in terms of like a flex support that is just a secret weapon in his own right.
And I feel like the addition of Yaki has made BQB's life so much easier, where now you're starting to see him play to his full potential. You brought Gargoyle in towards the end of last season, who's a player that I've really liked in the off-tank role. And you know, Karai and Fate splitting the main tank duties, where now Florida's built up a very solid roster.
Yeah, I mean, let's have a look now at the comparison of where they're at now in 2020, at least in 2018 and 2019. You can see a huge difference across win rates. Now, in fairness, I mean, this is kind of like stating the obvious. Yes, they're winning way more games. It's their control maps. Oddly enough, control's still one of their weakest map types, but from 25.3% win rate, that is abhorrent. Now go to 58.3% there.
They went from only being able to beat the Dallas Fuel when Taimu was tanking the Shanghai Dragons and the Ryu Kong Seoul Dynasty to being able to actually beat some of the other teams.
Oh man, those days I will never forget. I'm going to tell my friends about it one day. They'll be like, I don't even know what Overwatch is, but that sounds interesting. The J-Kong. Yeah, I mean, that's right. But now 2020 Florida Mayhem, Matt, looking really, really good. They look solid, right? BQB stays around. Chris is still there. Fate, we had concerns about how he would gel in the previous iteration of the roster after coming away from the Valiant. Looks really good. Florida have, you know, no reason to sort of be scared about a matchup like this against a 500 team because they're aiming higher than that. Like, that is where they expect themselves to be, is you know, exceeding that sort of ratio.
And I really like Kuki as a coach to kind of round this team out. A coach who's actually played in the league and, you know, has experience as a player, knows what the types of things that a player would want in a coach. So to add a valuable piece like that, I don't think can kind of, you know, go overshadow.
Sure. I mean, there it is, your connections presented by Xfinity, and we do want to get those neurons firing and remind you guys of what was, and now it sort of sets the stakes for what could be for this Florida Mayhem roster. For a long time considered to be a little bit of a laughing stock. They really struggled to get the best players, the best prospects in position. This is the best that we have ever seen them. But crucially in this match, they have chosen a team that they have never won against. Not ever have they beaten the Atlanta Reign.
But I mean, look, they're much different than last year, though. I think the Florida Mayhem, I don't even know if they've even taken like a map off of the Atlanta Reign. Like, these series have not really been close, but
never a map.
if you're going to turn the fate of your franchise around, you do it with doing something like this. Going into a tournament environment, beat a team you've never taken a map off before.
Well, let's jump in now. Let's have a look at the starting lineup for the Atlanta Reign. It will be Edison and Baby Bay. Erster still AWOL, of course, with Gator and Hawk on tank, and Dogman and Kodak again comes back in. Looked so clean yesterday on the Zen.
Erster's like the Dako of Season 3. Or Dako is just missing for months at a time, as everyone's wondering where Erster is.
But you know what? The thing about Dako, you might have been missing, but when he was in a room, you knew it. You knew it.
Dako's hilarious. I mean, one of the funniest guys I've been around. But Atlanta, the thing you can talk about is Kodak playing with Dogman, so they probably won't want to run the Lucio to start it off.
Let's look across, though, now, of course, at the Florida Mayhem. It's BQB and Yaki looking to serve up some hot fire here in the DPS. Fate will be operating with Gargoyle today, not Korian. And, of course, Gangnam Jin will be paired with Chris. And this is kind of what we expect is standard now from the Mayhem.
A combination of a lot of the better players that they added towards the second half of last season, plus the 2 new additions from this off-season. And you really like this lineup.
Now, let's have a look at our map pool now, of course. And there are many maps to choose from. And I'll remind you, everybody, this is a best of 5. Where the losing team will choose their next map. So you have to be ready for anything now. This sort of puts an extra layer of pressure on teams to be prepared for any eventuality, and also allows teams to try and play to their strengths, something we kind of saw in the previous series when there was a fair bit of back and forth going on.
Yeah, you know, you can play to your map strengths, but in terms of like the hero pool you have to pick from, it's very challenging, I think. Busan will be the first map in the set, where there is kind of a meta that's developed, but you haven't had enough time to fully develop a meta with no hero pools. It's kind of just the best of what we've already seen with hero pools, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
Because you kind of have to default to something when you don't have that much time to turn around and come up with something.
It also means the teams that have had extra time, or at least less on their plate coaching-wise, have been able to maybe come up and develop some of their own little secret strategies or things that just really suit their teams very well. Now, I'd love to see Doomfist here. We probably won't, but that would be the kind of thing that like suits Yaki very well, especially. The Atlanta Reign, though, have looked good. Hawks look extremely potent when it's come to Sigma play. And, I mean, that's a pick that we already have seen plenty of today, Matt. Should be no different here.
Yeah, you think probably Orisa Sigma for the Atlanta Reign in combo with a Baptiste and Daze and Yada, and then it just kind of depends on what damage dealers they want to roll with. Florida Mayhem, they have the option to run some different things with the lineup that they have in. Extremely flexible. When I say different things, don't expect Roadhog. I would be quite shocked to see the Roadhog, but you know, both teams are hovering it at that time, as Roadhog has not been meta or even really played in months. Is just so many better options in terms of the tank role, right?
New York were using him in those Asia matches, though. Remember that? That was kind of fun.
Oh, yeah.
But in general, no.
Hotba's gonna do. If Hotba could play another DPS, he'd screw the off tank role and just play DPS. That was true. Up to him. 76 again.
Okay, so Florida aren't the first team to kind of have this take of Soldier 76 versus the double shield tank. Doesn't even matter if Yaki's going to be able to cause problems now. Hit with a coach gun and forced to recall early now.
76 Tracer.
Now, this is a throwback.
And this is one where, okay, so you can combine like the pulse bomb with halts, right? That's a combination. BQB can poke down at range, but I mean, look at that. He gets halted into some sticky grenades. He just gets blown up.
Brad Rajani from the Atlanta Reign is looking on, being like, hey, I invented that composition on Selfless. You can't use it against me like that. But the Florida Mayhem are actually able to find a modicum of success in this fight. Hawk is beset on all sides, and Yaki just keeps barreling through. The Tracer has looked very, very good here, and the Reign actually haven't had a lot to answer Tracer specifically. No Brig. I mean, we know that Ash doesn't really do a ton to Tracer either.
Right. It's really designed around this for Florida, is to have the sustain on the point to last long enough and brawl with like the Brig, and then 76 putting down enough damage. And then armor pack up Yaki and see if he can go pick off some of the supports. As you can force out Immortality Field, maybe force out a Transcendence. Baby Bay may be a little bit easier of a target than some of the other damage dealer characters. Look for a Halt Pulse Bomb here, probably.
Yep. Yaki, Pulse Bomb, great combo there. It had to be an Immortality Field used, and Yaki can't really fight through that. If he hangs around and tries to burn through the drone, he'll die. Dies anyway, as it turns out, as Baby Bay is inexorable as death and taxes, apparently. Edison over the top now as well. A lot of pressure on Gargoyle here. And the Rain bait the fight. They bait the engagement from Yaki with a pulse bomb, and it goes the way of Atlanta.
And they didn't even have to really, like, they used the pulse bomb there at the halt, and they're able to get it. But all they had to do was win that fight was just use their even mortality field and then an AM matrix, and they're able to just wipe the floor with the Florida Mayhem. So Florida will come in. This is an opportunity to brawl it out. You'll have a Transcendence. And notice Chris on the break. Not been able to really build up much ult charge because he hasn't had an opportunity to really get in a brawly type of scenario. Like, the Brig's not going to generate ult charge, just giving armor packs to the Tracer and letting her go in.
Yeah, she looks awkward using her shield just to block dynamite damage from extreme range. Let's see if the Mayhem can actually get some value out of Chris here. In they come marching. Gargoyle's shield extremely low, goes for a Gravitic Flux, catches two. It's medium, I'll say, and BQB actually has an angle to get some attack visor damage here now at 44% Florida after that capture. BQB's happy enough just being a constant threat, but doesn't contribute much to the overall team fight. As Dogman and Baby Bay have the front-loaded damage. They have the burst, they have the body bags to put the Mayhem in.
And you see the attack visor does really, like, contributes almost nothing to the fight. I mean, that's why I really like the Ashe pick over 76. It's a better ultimate. On par in terms of, like, damage output, like, maybe not as consistent, but I think overall damage, I think the Ashe wins out in the end. A Dynamite to combine with the halt, like, the only thing that Soldier is better at is, like, kind of, like, personal survivability with the sprint and then being able to put down, you know, the biofield to heal himself. But in this type of scenario, I feel like the Ashe wins out every day. I'm so shocked that we've seen teams go to 76.
I'm quite sure there's an underlying concept to with which this kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
We don't know it, frankly, between me and Matt. Maybe we get more discussion about it on the desk now that we've actually seen it a second time.
Well, Scott was confused seeing it the first time, so I'm super interested to see what Custis' take on this and seeing it again.
All right, Gravitic Flux, 3 players caught in that one. Wow, that's so low. Fate and Gargoyle struggling to cling to life, and this is where the Atlanta Rain get to kick it up a notch. Baby Bay sits back, and Gangnam Jin, the audacity to challenge this man at long range. He's playing Ashe, for God's sake. Gargoyle down, Edison burns Chris. And the Atlanta Rain looks strong, and they quizzically see the Soldier 76 composition. They forge ahead anyway, Matthew.
And you know, 76, one thing I mentioned is you can use them as well to, like, get to angles better and faster, like kind of use the sprint to kind of get around the map, obviously, and it would take these off angles. I would be super surprised if they committed to it yet again. We'll see what the Mayhem decide to do. Gangnam Jin switches over to Baptiste, and BQB and Edison both hovering the Symmetra. This is just to get the TP out of the spawn to get up faster. We'll see what they actually play right after that.
BQB, I mean, probably the most concerning part is that, yeah, he doesn't get very much done at all in that last round. We know that. We've already been talking about it. I don't want to harp on it, but yeah, something more effective would be good here, and it is going to be an Ashe pick now. So Yaki still fancies the Tracer. So Edison will have the uncontested Echo.
Which I don't hate the Tracer if you're going to play Brig with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, the Rain, again, they don't have a specific Tracer answer, and they were being pressured heavily by Yaki early in the round. See, there it is. Yaki's able to find Hawk there as Baby Bay gets halted backwards, and the Mayhem just eat him up.
Yeah, and what has to happen there is Yaki has to get the armor packs and then do enough damage to kind of force Atlanta back, which will give the space to Florida, which allows them to then get actual value out of the Brig, right? Because then you can get in their face and start the brawl with your Tracer in the backline.
All right, a lot of damage early there on the Atlanta Rain. That immortality, the amplification matrix, sorry, from Gangnam Jin sets up the Mayhem just to chunk some Atlanta players low, and they just can't keep up when it comes to a game of numbers. They are way behind. They will have an amp matrix of their own next, but they're in a position where it's much easier to kite an amp matrix for the enemy team, so they need to make sure there's a proper fight brewing before they set it up.
I'm surprised Yaki hasn't... Okay, he's had to communicate to his teammates that they're coming from this left side because he can hear them coming through the door.
Another pulse into immortality. This time, Dogman actually goes down. Baby Bay's able to respond. It's not easy to catch a Tracer with a headshot if you're Ashe, but it's just not enough. 39% and counting for Florida.
But you'll take that, right? I mean, Yaki goes in, gets a kill on the Dogman, and it has to be just like a flick one-shot there from Baby Bay to take Yaki out, as they've really had no answer for his Tracer in the backline on this point.
Now, why no Brig? Big question here for the Atlanta Rain. Maybe Dogman or Kodak just don't want to play it. Bob is out from BQB.
They want the extra damage of the Zen. They want the extra damage of the Discord to be able to put a Discord like above where like a Halt would come through and just burn the target down. That's the idea of having the Zen in play.
Casting with Jake recently, he sort of claimed that it was pretty greedy to go without the Brigitte in this kind of composition. We'll see if the Reign are punished for that now. They have a Transcendence, so the Zen's going to definitely give them some value in this next fight. Nicely done by Baby Bay. 2-tap, and that's all she wrote. The Atlanta Reign already captured the point, so now they can clean up the fight and get some bonus percentage accrued.
It is much riskier, I would say, I think, with the Zen. But I think with what Florida Mayhem's running, if you're going to run Tracer, you have to run the Brig. You can't run the Zen as well, right? Because you need the Brig for the armor packs on the Tracer.
Right. Harmony Orb's not enough.
And for the Atlanta Reign, I mean, you could run the Brig, but you want the Discord for the Echo at range, for the Ash to use pretty much like if you can get a Halt, like a Discord plus a Sticky Bombs will result in a kill a lot of the time. So that's why you end up seeing the teams run the Zen with this.
Well, I think there's a fight happening, Matt, especially now with the Supercharger getting
like
thrown down. That's already been removed, though, and what a gravitic flux. Edison now gets into the back line as a copied Sigma, but is taken down eventually, and then he'll be removed. He gets stunned up as soon as he comes out of the duplicate. Now it's a 6v wow 2 is the answer. 6v2.
6v wow.
Yeah. Already over that fight in the Florida Mayhem. Okay, Gangnam Jin just wants to stretch the legs a little bit. Now throw on some mid-round squats to keep your limber, keep the blood flowing. 75 to 62, the Mayhem now inch out in front.
Now Kodak matches, so now they'll go with the Brig because they want the Brig to deal with this Tracer, not really to have the Brig for, you know, some of the armor pack type stuff on the flanks. They're going to load up. Yeah, they're going to load Edison up with the armor packs. Big Halt that comes through there. It's Atlanta, they have to regroup a little bit.
All right, looks like Kodak did actually catch Yaki with a shield bash, but no one was in a position to capitalize on it. Still, Chris goes down eventually. Edison ducks for the point. And he's taken down by BQB. He's able to find a couple there. Hawk does hit that accretion of Baby Bay. Careful. Coach gun to the point. Bob, come help me out, he says. Dynamite thrown in and Gangnam Jin is down. Yaki still has decent control of the high ground here, and Hawk could be in a spot of bother. Gator even worse off. Yaki finds another one. He's looking for even more. Hawk's in trouble. He gets kinetic grasp with a little bit of help back, but Florida have already moved in to retake the point now. Dogman has to stand back using Immortality Field for his own use. That's not going to be ideal now the longer this fight goes on, because Yaki has a pulse bomb and he sees the kinetic grasp already used. He knows his time is now. He gets Dogman with the stick and Yaki's starting to take this one away. Kodak has to keep himself shielded up, but Yaki goes to the high ground now. Hawk and Baby Bay are down, and the Atlanta Reign had a 2v1 against Yaki. Couldn't deal with it, but now he comes back to bite them in the behind. Chris whip shot Kodak off the map, and Gator is cleaned up. It's an even game here on Busan.
As Yaki is able to get both tanks pretty much. No, Gator really low on the point. Same with Hawk. He's able to deal with the Orisa. And then he's got his own Orisa coming back. Fake gets on the point. And then once he sees where Dogman is and he sees the Immortality Field's already been used, I mean, that is free pickings with the Pulse Bomb. He just comes right to the side of him, lands a big Pulse Bomb, and puts that point away for the Florida Mayhem.
I mean, it is pretty scary for Gator and Hawk. You probably have about 250 health points between them. Yaki's on the high ground, has blinks, has recall. Being able to pressure them away. Remember how long it takes for Sigma and Orisa to get back to the point. So creating a stagger in a 1v2 like that secures the round for the Mayhem. And now we head downtown. And one of these teams is about to go to Browntown. Let's see the Florida Mayhem can maintain this momentum.
So Kodak will switch to the break about probably like towards the end of that round. And then comes out this time and they'll run the Zen again. So they really want the Zen for the output. If Yaki becomes too much to deal with, though, I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to the break. But it's a good start for the Atlanta Reign. They pick up 4 kills. They pick up 5. Nobody falls for them either, as they're going to be able to take the point.
Yeah, that's that risky Zen at work, Matt. The Atlanta Reign have they can just barrel a ton of damage directly at the Mayhem here, and if they're not really set up, I mean, you have Zen Orbs, you have Sticky Bombs, you have a ton of nice things to use there. But after that front loader burst is done, the fight goes longer. That's when the enemy Brig starts to get more value. The quick fights are a good fight for Atlanta Reign.
Once the enemy Brig gets close into Brig's effective range, that's when the Brig becomes effective. So Atlanta needs to invest to get these early fights and shield advantages.
When Brig gets into effective range, she becomes effective. Yaki needs to be effective at all ranges right now, though, as he's taking Gator very low. It was a nice
way of saying she becomes unkillable.
Yeah, I like that. No, I get it, yeah. An effective Brig is an unkillable one. That makes a lot of sense based on what we've seen from top Brigs in the past. The Rain back up to the point, though. They take more damage than they would have liked early from Yaki, but the Mayhem give them enough time to kind of recover, and now they have a amplification matrix from Dogman, but BQB doesn't give a damn! Wow! Dynamite thrown in, Hawk gets rolled, and Bob, it's just Bob. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Bob. He didn't deserve that, man.
He doesn't contribute much of anything. Doesn't even contest the point.
He didn't even get to decide where he came out. It wasn't his fault that he got used in a losing scenario, man.
You see how devastating like a good dynamite, like even like some headshot damage after? Like you can notice when you have a good halt dynamite combo, when you see like the ult percentage of these ashes jump up by like, 20-30% in a short period of time. Like the number just flies up out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's big, especially for Bob. Hawk now. Nice gravitic flux. The Mayhem again struggling with this like early initial burst that the Mayhem are able to deal out. Now Edison copies a Sigma. I mean, he doesn't even need to use really this gravitic flux, and so it's quite frivolously thrown into the mix here. He doesn't care. He's going to come out as Echo and start to zoom around the map, just putting people down with the focusing beam. He's good. He's happy.
Chris is super dead. Oh.
Okay.
See, this is what I'm telling you. I was going to say, I was like, this is what I mean by Brig being effective if the Brig would have came back and killed. But Yaki doing a dance on the point. They're actually going to be able to come back in and fight this. Immortality field coming in for the Florida Mayhem as well.
Deja vu. Yaki lingers at the end of a fight and bites off more than you think he could shoot, but turns out his mandibles are awfully effective. Guy goes to the high ground now. Good gravitic flux. A lot of coverage, but Yaki and Fate fall, and that Arista going down first was what hurts the worst.
Yeah, and the point turns during that. So Dogman uses the Amp Matrix there to put the Atlanta Reign over the line. They'll flip the point back from the Florida Mayhem. Atlanta, though, with no ultimates here to work with coming into the next fight. You're really relying on Baby Bay getting a lot done with a Dynamite, getting a Bob rather early, because the Mayhem are coming back with a Supercharger.
13 final blows, 4 deaths for Yaki so far, and he's got a Pulse Bomb. He's ready to add to the tally. In goes the Dynamite. Out come the Mayhem now as they try and push forward with this Supercharger a little bit, and Hawk is lucky to be alive. Great immortality field from Dogman. It keeps the Sigma standing for the time being. Bob is sent forth. Sally's forth from the castle, and the Mayhem take an absolute beating. Fate has to back away now as well with the Supercharger in play. It works though. The Mayhem take a breather and use all that extra damage amplification to get rid of these mainline tanks. Now BQB comes in a flank Dynamite, just wrecks the Atlanta Reign. Yaki gets a big cleanup at the end of the fight, goes to 16 final blows, and there will be a chance to take a seat. The Mayhem now prepare for the long hold.
It is enough to hold on, though. That's the thing. They get the point. Atlanta needs one fight to go their way, and look at the ultimates they're going to have available to them. 5 ultimates here for the Atlanta Reign coming in. They just need one of them to be good and impactful as the Supercharger will kick things off.
No reason for Atlanta not to win. Hawk gives me deja vu once more, but Kodak's down already. He died with Transcendence. Surely the Reign don't commit all more ultimates, but Matt, they actually do. 3, 4 ultimates committed by the Atlanta Reign, and then without the Transcendence, and Yaki just runs rampant on them as a result. Hawk's going to get run into the ground as well. He tries for an accretion, but Yaki definitely sidesteps, and now the Reign lose out. Kodak down at the start of the fight.
Oh, no.
That's not the kind of Kodak moment you're ever looking for. And the Florida Mayhem take map 1 away.
2 ultimates versus 5 there at the end. Chris had the Brig rally, and then Yaki gets a pulse bomb about halfway through that as it's such a huge pick killing Kodak before he gets the Transcendence off. We never see the Transcendence get to use there on that point on Busan, and that ends up hurting them in the end.
What better manifestation of the risk that you have to shoulder by bringing Zenyatta into these compositions instead of Brig than that? That was, it framed perfectly. Kodak gets blown up so fast by the Tracer.
They should have just, I mean, yeah, you don't know how
you don't
fast
switch
it
for the
happened.
last fight, sure.
No, but I'm saying you could have just used the Transcendence in that situation, right? I mean, it's the last fight. If you're going to die, you'd rather, I mean, just use the Transcendence than die in that type of situation.
Yeah, Kodak going down early there. That all fell apart. That is not a fight that you should ever lose, and the Reign will rightfully be kicking themselves for that one. Let's see if some of that fire in their bellies helps them, as map number 2 is not too far away at all. The Florida Mayhem, they get away with that one. They definitely pull the rug out from under the Reign. These two teams are closely matched. Map 2 will be very telling, so stick around as we keep the results coming in.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. And by Zip Chair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
Dogman, you heard it here. Kuki and his team decided to go up against the rain. Is that a mistake, you think?
Bro, this dude just said, like, he wants a team that, like, they have, like, a chance to win. You just picked us, man. You guys have been getting mollywopped for the past, like, couple years, bro. Just, like, sit back, take the L. We're about to give it to you tomorrow.
Oh, wow. All right.
Okay. Wow. Well,
that escalated quickly. Dogman's come in and just talked all this trash. What do you want to say to him?
We're just gonna show it in our next match.
Nice.
I don't have anything to say.
yeah, plain and simple.
That's
I mean,
respectable.
sticking to the guns.
Well, there you have it. Dogman adamant that there will be no chance for the Mayhem to take a win here. You know, it's a predictably unspicy take from the Mayhem side of things there, but that was the first map that the Mayhem have won against the Rain this year.
Is it even that spicy from the rain? Like, you wouldn't say I think we might lose. And of course, I would want if I was a teammate of Dogman, he said anything other than that, I would have been pissed. I would have been like, no, you look, they don't want to talk trash. We just keep talking trash. That's what we're gonna do. And that's why I love Dogman and Baby Bay. Like, even if they lose, they're still in the chat, just going at it.
That reminds me of like early 2019 rivalry between the Gladiators and Valiant, where the Gladiators just kept going in and in. The Valiant were like, oh no, we good.
Yeah.
I mean, that didn't really go anywhere. I don't think there was not a real result from that in the end. But yeah, it's fair enough. You know, like there's no reason not to be confident here for the Atlanta Rain. You beat the teams you're expected to beat. You know, I would say, you know, as a team, they are fairly valued. If they are 500 now and generally, you know, beat teams that are lower than them, they are the benchmark. I think that's a very good way of putting it.
And on paper, they have a very strong roster, and we expect them to be better as the season goes on. So you have no reason to believe that you can't contest a team like Florida, as the next map will be Hollywood.
Yeah, and this series, expect to see more of it. I don't think that 3 maps will be enough to see our victory here at all. I think we'll definitely see some back and forth, and you should probably expect that for pretty much all of our quarterfinals here, as a lot of these teams are evenly matched, and a lot of them have had the same amount of time to deal with the lack of hero pool in general.
If Yaki keeps playing the way he is, you could see a 3-0 here. He's been lights out, and if they don't do anything to stop him or contest him, if he keeps playing Tracer, this may be a 3-0.
3-0? You think 3-0, Matt?
It could be, yeah, without a doubt. If Yaki plays the Tracer again and they don't make adjustments to really stop him, BQB hasn't exactly been a slouch on the Ash either. They're in a position where they can 3-0 this, without a doubt.
Hey, Matt, do you know who's really good at Tracer?
Who?
Erster! Erster is good at Tracer! Where is he?
I think it's not even I think it's not even like putting in somebody like Urser. I think it's just more probably bringing in the Brig. Like when you were talking about when you cast with Jake, like I think he's completely right. Where in this type of situation, you need to bring in a Brig, I think, if you're the Atlanta Rain.
Well, yeah, the way he put it was greedy. He said it was greedy. You're trying to get everything. Obviously, if you have sort of Brig Batiste, you don't have like a super powerful like AoE support ultimate, although Rally can really be strong when
paired with a super powerful AoE support ultimate. You have an immortality field on a cooldown. Who needs an AoE support ultimate?
Nothing. I mean, but we've seen how effective Sound Barrier and Transcendence have been, and why people sort of prioritize
throw immortality field and let Brig whack around a bit. There you go.
Yeah, there's a good argument for immortality field being as powerful contextually as a Transcendence, if not better.
I think making your team immortal would definitely rival that.
All right, well, you heard it from the man himself. Yep. Matthew Morello, man, a few words, but when he utters them, they are to be taken seriously.
Very impactful.
That's it. Okay, Baby Bay. I mean, we're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy, but he still seems to be firing off these shots.
Like?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. So slender, so svelte that if he turns sideways, the Mayhem can't see him, and so his Ash just pushes deep in enemy territory and causes a whole host of problems for the Mayhem, and they ultimately get rocked.
Yeah, and Florida has to play a little bit closer there because you're going to play the Tracer. You want to take advantage of some of that damage that Yaki's putting down, but It all falls apart and rather quickly as Baby gets to an odd position by the gate that's going to open up now as Atlanta takes the payload, and he's able to do some work.
Yeah, gets a ton of damage in there. No kills from him, but he's got like 33% of his team's damage after that first fight. So, the lack of respect given to him may have been the undoing for the Mayhem.
A bomb already from BQB.
Yeah, okay, and Matrix as well coming out from Dogman, and of course he uses this very powerful Immortality Field ability. Gangnam Jin is down at the trade though, so both teams are without Batistes.
But just,
both teams without much healing.
But look at it from that perspective. I love how we caught that there. Yaki goes in, almost one-clips Kodak. And he doesn't even need the kill on a Kodak, and you see players start to turn for the Atlanta Reign because there needs to be some kind of peel for the Zen. And then Florida just runs right through the front of them with the Brig and the Sigma, and you can't be looking in both directions. That's why the Brig is a safer pick for a team like Atlanta, because you're able to withstand some of that.
I mean, Hawk's lucky to be alive, Matt. Another Immortality Field with good timing from Dogman, who looks insanely good on Batiste so far in this series, but he won't survive the Gravitic Flux. Halt to follow it up there. All of the Reign are low on health and drawn close together, but Gator still able to yield a kill against Yaki. The copied Sigma inside these close halls is very scary for the Mayhem. Edison now gets a Flux of his own in a matter of seconds, and my God, that happens way too fast. I'm sorry.
and the Reign, they trade even at the beginning, but when they get the kill onto Yaki on the Tracer, they immediately are like, okay, we're going to double down on this fight because we don't want to lose this now that we have like their real kind of big player under control. And they use the Transcendence and push on forward and then get the kills. Also use the Duplicate there as well. They don't want to be stuck at that choke for that much longer. Would have given Florida a great advantage to use some ultimates here at the end and stall out.
Hey, Supercharger, we love to see it. Kodak almost gets one clipped again now. What does this do to the rest of the Reign? Well, it just makes Baby at this stage focus down on Gangnam Jin, so the trades for flex supports go in favor of the Reign. There's a Gravitic Flux here for Hawk. He doesn't mind if this takes a while for the Mayhem to turn up. The longer they take to get there, the more likely they're going to be to lose control of the point when he just fluxes them up into the air. Kodak's down. BQB's found 2 now with a bomb. Make it 3. My man Bob, swole as all heck. And Dogman now has to try and make something happen with Baby here. This is tough. It's a big ask.
Yeah, and you're going to have players coming off a respawn. Baby with 1. I don't think he's going to be able to turn this. Baby with another. He's going to invest the Bob in here. Where are the rest of the players for the Atlanta Reign?
They're still in spawn. They were trying to get things done 2v2, but the spawn advantage is absolutely in the favor of the Mayhem here. It's like the end of a bloody control map.
And Atlanta, so they've been making progress. Like, all they need is Kodak to stay alive. They don't even need to really kill Yaki right away. They need Kodak to just live and not need the help of everybody on the team to live. And that's where Atlanta can start to make an impact. You can throw a Discord on somebody, really make a play. It'll be a Gravitic Flux to open things up here from Hawk, and it's going to be answered with Bait using his Supercharger.
And Gangnam Jin as well is able to get that Immortality Field down as many Sigma ultimates are shut down in a similar fashion. A lot of shields now, focusing beam. Not good against shields at all. Edison now just going to sit on that side though and try and find something, and everyone groups up here for Gravitic Flux and Gargoyle. Holds them all up. BQB knocks them down. Pull, Skeeter! And so goes the Clay Pigeon shooting for the Mayhem.
So now for Florida, you can push up, you can take this choke. You can get high ground control here where you see, Gangnam Jin play. Maybe you want to put your Ashe up there as well. Bob in play. Ant Matrix as well. Baby Bait goes McCree, which is really interesting because Ashe can control the sightlines here and really play at a distance where McCree can't really be that impactful.
Atlanta don't want to play Brick. They just want to stun for the Tracer instead of having the Brick hit the switch. They keep the Zen. Transcendence is in place, so you understand why they don't want to go away from it. And Baby gets rid of BQB. This guy is frightening on any kind of hit scan, and the flashbang definitely is going to give now a bit of pause for thought for Yaki as he tries to sneak on in there and get those kills.
Yeah, the flashbang is good to deal with this Tracer. The issue is the Tracer's going to be armor packed up when you come on in.
Good point. Still, it doesn't really matter in that fight. Edison somehow gets a 2-for-1 with the focusing beam, which means that both the targets were already very low in health when he finds them. So it means that it's usually not a solo kill, but still it's good cleanup.
Yeah, he can't contest. You see him just darting around Baby Bay inside the saloon as they finally deal with him.
Okay.
Florida, they'll have to back up. They're going to have to concede some space here to the Atlanta Reign. I'm interested to see, though, if they can keep making this McCree work, and the McCree, if it's effective enough to have Yaki switch.
I'm living for it right now. The McCree is a lot of fun. This is where things get tricky for the Reign. Trying to flank in towards the end of the map, that little cul-de-sac. It is a little bit harder. There's only a couple of ways to do it. Oh, the hold Gravitic Flux combo is really good. What's the follow-up like? Tough to get any damage in there with the Immortality field, but Fate and Gargoyle, they're still so low. Gangnam Jin probably had to reload there, so the healing was a little slower. Stun, but Yaki catches Edison. The Halt was a great combo, and teams keep coming up with better ways to combo the Halt into other abilities. The Mayhem wiped the floor with the Reign.
Yeah, Halt is just so powerful, right? I mean, being able to use the Halt and go above shields, around corners, and then combo it with things like Dynamite, Pulse Bomb, Accretion, you know, bring people in the line of sight of the Ant Matrix. That's why you see Arisa played so much. Her kit is just pretty crazy and effective with a lot of other characters.
Baby Bay on the flank sees Tracer. Yaki's gone. No armor pack for him that time, Matthew. No time to dispense it. And now Baby Bay just gets to do some AD work as he strafes around that corner. He's burning down though. He's getting a hot foot. BKB makes him dance, man.
Yeah. So at that time, it was a Bob plus a Gravitic Flux that comes through for the Florida Mayhem, so they get yet another hold. There's 37 seconds on the clock. Deadeye, you could do Deadeye with a Gravitic Flux here if you're the Atlanta Reign. You also have the Transcendence to keep everybody alive.
This McCree has to work out now. I mean, it looked good. He got rid of the Tracer at the start of the fight. What more could you really ask for from your McCree? And yet, this still wasn't enough. Baby Bay tries to anticipate the Tracer flanking it now. Oh, that could be it. He gets his Gangnam Jin, gets less than you sort of thought he would. But a Deadeye kill on a Batiste is still good. Now he's in trouble though. Brig is starting to get up in his grill. Face to face is the way the Mayhem like to play it. And that Transcendence from Kodak again looks not very good. The Atlanta Reign run out of steam at a crucial juncture here in Hollywood.
Just look at how worried, though, he is about this Tracer all the time. Every time you hear a recall, just trying to look, see where Yaki's going to come up, try and get a prediction flashbang or some other type of stun onto him. Life would be so much easier if they just played the Ashe with the Brig. They'd be able to get more on offense. You know, you're playing a mirror almost, right? You're playing the Echo instead of Tracer. But you're playing what's closest to a mirror that you could possibly do. You can have the Brig protection for the Ashe. You have Immortality field. You can play a little bit more closely as a group. You can kind of match the damage, if not better the damage than the Florida Mayhem's putting out.
There it is.
So let's see, yeah.
Kiss the ring, Atlanta, you know.
Edison with the change. But I mean, look, Edison's a pretty nasty Tracer as well. And then Baby Bay, we've seen him do nice things on Ashe. So maybe this is something that they're able to make work. What's also interesting is you don't have Masa in, you have Kodak in. So Kodak is really like a flex support player. Masa's their main support. So you don't know how much Brig Kodak has really played. I think after the halftime, you'll be able to tell what Atlanta wants to do strategy-wise. Because maybe Masa comes back in and they decide to match after that.
Kodak, yeah, you're right. Masa normally the Brigitte player
yes.
For the Atlanta Reign. It would probably kind of make sense if Atlanta have to play this way. No, I just want to make it very clear, right? People are going to freak out if I don't mention this, but obviously back on GC Busan Wave, Edison did play Tracer. He was still known for the Tracer. I'm just campaigning for Ursa to be back in the lineup, that's all. I mean, I don't really care who gets sacked, you know, for what period of time. So, the Reign, no reason why this composition shouldn't fit them like a glove, with the exception of our question about Kodak on Brigitte. Let's see if it works out. They're going to be on defense in Florida. They are coming.
I want to see how Florida deals with this now, because you see Edison getting the armor packs on the Tracer, going in the same type of situation that Yaki was playing. I want to see how they go about dealing with Edison on the Tracer. Baby Bay getting really low. They're able to keep him alive.
Nicely done, but that is central to the Brigitte play, right? Stay together, give up some space, and then retake it when you have to. You see the first kill came from Kodak there. The Reign looked really comfortable just allowing the Mayhem to take space, knowing that they had the shields and they were backing up into an area that kind of made it harder for BKB to find kills outside of the Dynamite, right? Yeah. What is this commitment? Hello, Gangnam Jin?
Oh, that is not wise. That's what I love about now having Edison on the Tracer. Is you know, Yaki is starting behind enemy lines. He's trying to get some damage down. What happens? Edison just chases them down. Yaki had used his recall and all his blinks, and Edison wins the 1v1. And then he's able to get up on the high ground and do even more damage, as Edison's really been nice to start this defense off for Atlanta.
10 push-ups in spawn for a wasted ultimate, and Gangnam's in his back, still on the Batiste, so there was no switch there. Maybe you thought that the Mayhem had a chance to pull a San Francisco shock against the Dallas. Probably everyone's trying to replicate that moment. Quite the jaw dropper. Mayhem, though, didn't quite have what they needed to make that happen. Pulse Bomb from Edison would have really hurt. Greater Mortality Field thrown in, and there was plenty of healing to follow it up. Now Yaki drops in from the high ground, looking for Baby Babe, but doesn't choose to go for the Pulse Bomb yet. It's not a secured kill, and he was worried about Brigitte roaming close to the Ash. This is quite like what we used to see from the Mayhem at the McCree-Brig combo.
It's going to be a Pulse Bomb at the feet of the Hall that doesn't get anybody.
BQB forced to back up. Tracer recalls. Edison now gets to wreak some havoc of his own, but he can't get away from BQB. Matt, there was the trade, but still the Mayhem have lost fate. What can they do without him? Plenty, apparently. His Gargoyle's Gravitic Flux is followed up on by that damage. And Gator crumbles as soon as he hits the ground. Nothing but spare parts.
And they'll be quite fortunate that they may not need this Bob, because BQB tried to get it through the choke in the server, and it actually bangs off the wall, so it doesn't even make it to the point. As Edison comes back, takes out BQB, so this could get interesting. As Baby Bay's going to come back, maybe you invest a Bob to contest.
I mean, there's still a Brig with Shield Bash cooldown off.
Back out.
There's no way for the Atlanta Reign to make something happen here. But I'd be scared if I was them. If they don't slow down the Mayhem appreciably through this next stage of the map, they run risk of sort of losing it in general. So what do the Reign do to make the use of the natural advantages given to them by being defenders in the Westworld phase?
Well, you want Baby Bay to get control of this high ground, right? He puts a few shots into BQB, already backs him down. You see, they're trying to not give it anything to look at, and BQB walks out, two-taps him.
Exactly what you're looking for. And now the pressure is off. You can advance slowly if you want to, but more than likely, you try and put your Ash in a more risky position to get value, and that is dynamite value if I've ever seen it. Bob is going to be online now, and Yaki finds Edison with a slap in the back of the head, reminding him who's boss. Dogman can't do too much there. Used to be a medic until he took a shot to the kneecap, and BQB sends him packing too.
Oh man, yeah, you're going way back.
Don't stop me, bro. I literally, I can't be stopped.
The shot in the knee, that hasn't been relevant in a very long time.
No, I love old memes. I love recycling them. I said this on Twitter. People want to keep reminding us how important Apex is. I want to keep reminding people how important other old memes are. Like this one. BQB sits back.
I think they should all go away. Everyone has their time, then you go away.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. No one wants to. That doesn't want anyone to hang around after their time is done. What happens to us, Matt, when we're done? They're just going to throw us out, go to the trash. We're going to go retire to Australia.
We're timeless. Oh, I'll go to Australia. Yeah. Sign me up for that.
We'll see if people still like listening to when we're old and crusty. It seems to work for NFL commentators, but I don't have much faith. Here it is, though. Gravitic Flux. Oh, Gargoyle. Not able to catch too many people in that one, but it don't matter because Yaki gets on a Dogman a little bit earlier with a Pulse Bomb stick, and that is going to be your target, right? Brig, if you stick a Pulse Bomb to her shield, she drops the shield, the Pulse Bomb drops to the ground. It's too risky, but Batiste doesn't have any lateral mobility really at all, so get a Pulse Bomb on him.
Get this here, though.
If
they use all their ultimates. They have to try and get big damage on one of these players coming out for Atlanta.
Okay, Gator's hold has to be big. This has to be a serious. Yep, that was perfect. What more can you ask for? The Gravitic Flux now gets extra value, but the Immortality Field still got deployed. So the Reign don't get enough from that one ultimate. Edison drops in, but the Immortality Field was still active in some players, so that Pulse Bomb doesn't find a kill. Chris is down to Hawk, not ideal, and with Fate being cornered off on his own, yes, Matt, you were right. The Reign can sort of come back in and take control once more.
Unless Yaki just kills everybody.
Yaki, more like Yaki, comes in there and finds two, but it was Kodak and Dogman both getting removed, so not lots of healing, and it's a spawn advantage still for the Reign. So the Mayhem still need to do a little bit more than just that. And Hawk's able to deal with Yaki, but Bob comes on in extra feet on the card. The Reign, oh, you're in trouble, boys.
You can't let that happen. I mean, sometimes it just comes down to like one person just dunking on the other team. I mean, right there, it's just BQB and Yaki. Atlanta, they use their ultimates, they get the fight, and Yaki just comes in, double Pulse Bomb. Bob comes in, picks up a kill as well. That is not good for Atlanta. Florida now will have a rally and supercharger here to try and get the card over the line.
Yeah, that fight was supposed to be a trough for Florida when it came to the amount of ultimates they had online, and they still win there. So much value. Bob, yeah, he comes straight forward. Supercharger also being used. Pulse Bomb only gets Fate Supercharger. Still, it's not bad. The Reign cut down some of that extra damage from Florida, but Babyface lost his Bob now, and these teams now get to fight on more even terms. Big Flux! Huge bucks! Gargoyle coming forward now. Immortality field from Dogman has been taken down, and Gargoyle wants to go into the back line. Finds the accretion hit. Yaki's close to a pulse bomb now. He's worked his shield low. Gets the stick. Kodak is down, and Yaki's not done. Now it's going to be a sad-looking Sigma for Hawk. He's trying to stay alive with the kinetic grasp, digging his nails in, hanging on to the edge, but it won't be enough. And the Mayhem go up 2-0 at the halftime, and they're starting to light a fire under the rain.
They can finally start to use their hashtag and mean it with Bring the Mayhem. You know,
Did they change that? It's changed now, right?
They have. I mean, they can go back to it now. I mean, it kind of makes sense now. Man, Yaki just out of control again.
It was
on Hollywood. Like, just the Tracer play is unreal. And I also want to shout out Fate. A lot of good halt combinations have been used during this game. You kind of only see like the Gravitic Flux or the Pulse Bombs that come out of it. But a lot of those big ones, especially that big Gravitic Flux at the end, was set up with a really nice halt from Fate.
I mean, but BQB ends the round, 23 final blows, 7 deaths. Yaki gets 14, so it's still appreciable. Gargoyle also getting involved in tons of those kills. The Sigma play is really important.
It's just the amount, the amount of time that Yaki is able to stay alive, plus the amount of pressure he's putting on Atlanta. It's just crazy to see.
Yeah, tough for the Rain to cope with there, and really clever little moment there. We kind of talked about sticking pulse bombs to brick shields, how it's hard. Yaki knew that Kodak's shield was probably too low for him to keep up there, so he gets a stick, one of the shields down, and I love it. This is maybe why the Mayhem thought they had the edge. They had that Tracer factor. Still, Edison looked quite good in this series so far.
He played quite good, yeah.
It is close. Don't be fooled by the scoreline. It is a close one so far, and that's why I want to now go towards our experts on the desk at the game break to really tell us and give us the intricacies of what separates these two teams and why it's 2-0. So stick around, guys. You're getting hit with some knowledge bombs, and then you'll be back for me to yell at you for another 22 an hour. We'll see you after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's largest 5G network. Switch to T-Mobile today. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hello and welcome to our next game break presented by Cheesy Grooves. Zoe here, joining me are Reinforce and Costa, and currently the Mayhem are up 2-0. And yes, Atlanta came in with confidence yesterday already, actually. The big question here is, of course, is their in-game performance matching that confidence? The match has been close so far, Reinforce.
Well, in some aspects, yes. I mean, when it comes to the playstyle, certainly so. When it comes to the compositions, not so much. I mean, allow me to go full Bren for a second,
Please.
okay? So dismiss everything you know about me and my reputation as a fantastic analyst. More about Atlanta Reign. Here's the analogy I will bring out. It feels like Atlanta Reign are the kind of people that go to the gym and like deadlift an impressive weight with pretty bad form.
Yeah,
like they get the job done and they look really good doing it. You know, they got big muscles, heavy weight going, looks good. But the way they pull it off is a bit like, I don't know. It's not optimal. It's a bit scrappy in that regard. So I think that attitude it's really manifesting itself in this matchup.
I want to compliment you on this analogy. I actually think
that
that's
was
so big brain.
That
That's
was
not a
great.
brain thing at all to say, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
That was way too clever.
All right. let me go into my thoughts about the Atlanta.
Sorry,
So my ultimate issue is I think they have the confidence, but I don't like this Zen Baptiste that they're playing, especially when Yaki is almost one-tricking this Tracer in them. Zen and Bap both don't do a very good job at dealing with the Tracer. It's kind of a Chad move to try and play this. It's very greedy. They're playing without the armor packs. They're playing without the shield bash on the Tracer. And this is giving Yaki the freedom to run around the Atlanta Reign. And that's where Florida's really having their success. Yaki's running around for free and creating such a distraction. That's actually giving BQB all the final blows. We heard in the stats from Matt and Uber that BQB is the one who's fragging, but that's because Yaki's giving all the space. So you got to give big props. And if I'm the Atlanta Reign coming out of this halftime, you need to make an adjustment to deal with him.
And I mean, it felt like they've already started making that adjustment towards the tail end of Hollywood. They did finally make that switch and put Kodak onto that brick. However, it was a little too late, and Mayhem just kind of ran away with it. Looking at our crunch time presented by Cheesy Grooves, as you said, BQB was fragging out, and he had quite a hold on Point Beyond Hollywood.
Okay, him and Bob, okay? You know, it goes
sorry,
both
I didn't
ways.
mean to take anything away from Bob.
Yeah, of course. No, well, this was a cool play to sort of save Point B on Hollywood, at least temporarily. But I think there's a bigger discussion to be had, and if Wolf was here, I'd let him go ham. But I think that this is a game where BQB and Yaki are really coming into fruition in terms of their reputation as damage players. I think that if they manage to win against the Atlanta Reign today, that's a big achievement for these two damage players, and so they deserve to be recognized for their efforts. I think Yaki, of course, there hasn't been that big Brigitte that we have talked about, but still, Yaki is having a great performance. BQB is having a fantastic performance as well. So this is the Florida Mayhem really firing on all cylinders, and I think we really should rate them pretty highly after a performance like this against the Atlanta Reign. So we'll see how the rest of the series turn out, but for now, this is a very good showing from both BQB and Yaki.
Well, we're heading on to Temple of Anubis next. Costa, what do you want to see from the Atlanta Reign coming into that second half?
I actually think going into Anubis, the Zen Baptiste has a ton more value. I'm going to be really interested to see if Yaki leans more towards the Tracer. It is hard at times to get value with this Tracer, as it's very, in or out. With Anubis, because there's only 2 points, there's not a lot of wiggle room to run around the map. So I almost expect Yaki to go more towards the Echo, and that leans more towards the Atlanta Reign composition. So I'm actually really interested to see the Mayhem adaptation moving forward, because that's what we haven't really seen from them. They obviously have great individual players, and they've been absolutely popping off this match, but we haven't seen any adaptability. I want to see Atlanta force them to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point about Tracer might not be the most optimal pick on Temple of Anubis. And so in my opinion, this really comes down to Baby Bay, and I think he's a player to watch moving into the second half, because we've seen some great performances from Baby Bay in the past, and he really has to step it up now against the Florida Mayhem if they want to reverse sweep. So, crucial game here for Atlanta, and I think Baby Bay needs to step up.
One last thing I just want to throw out there, and, I know no one has an answer, but where's Erster?
I don't know.
Just
should we start putting up a reward for if you find Ursa?
We might have to, actually.
We'll pull together.
Find this man.
Have you seen this man?
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. Obviously, Baby Bay and Edison are great at the roles that they're currently playing, but I would still just love to see Ursa at some points.
Well, maybe that mystery will be solved one day or another. We'll figure it out. Second half coming up any minute now. So for all the action, we once more heading over back to Uber and Mr. X.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch.
Welcome back to the Overwatch League, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that was a sufficient break for those of you who are reeling after the first half of this series, in which unreal scenes, by the way. The Florida Mayhem not only get their first map victory against the Atlanta Reign this season, but get two of them back to back. That means there was no loss in between them. It was a win and then a win.
Kuki's trash talk went from looking like he didn't want to talk trash to looking stone cold now.
Yeah, that's right.
Guy's
Okay, here's what I want to know. If you don't trash talk, does that just make you look more hardcore when you do deliver results? Or is it even better if you trash talk and deliver results, you know?
I'm a little biased. I like the trash talk. I'm a little biased.
If no one's seen it, I really encourage you to go back and look for stuff from Match's coaching career, especially for his trash talk. Videos exist of him behaving in that way, and it is
Well, that's what I viewed my job as. I'm going to talk a ton of trash, so if we lose, none of the players can take the blame. I can just look like the idiot who talked a ton of trash and then lost. And then everybody could just blame me because who cares, right?
And it looks like the Mayhem don't really have any individuals that want to sort of focus all the blame onto them. They spread it evenly across their team, and no one's to blame right now because they are up 2-0. Let's have a look at our map set now. Matthew, Temple of Anubis is next, and I mean, the Reign are already on the ropes. They have to win this map. They are not challenging, I would say, Florida effectively when it comes to, you know, how they use Tracer in these comps.
The last map was pretty close. And you did see Edison play Tracer at a high level, which we know he can do. So I'm looking to see that again, potentially on Anubis, because we haven't seen Florida show any signs of wanting to move away from Yaki on the Tracer, and I don't blame them. He's been lights out.
I mean, Master's on a beach in the Cayman Islands, and he's just got his phone on silent right now. He's chilling. He ain't coming in to play Brig, so it's going to have to be up to Kodak, most likely. If that is what the Reign feel like they're missing. You mentioned, mate, you kind of teased that the halftime break would be where the Reign sort of take a really hard look at their strategy right now, which in some of their compositions kind of feels like it's been letting them down, but they don't make any substitutions. So that's the first thing we know.
This map, though, may lend itself better towards like Zen, because there is some types of verticality you can put him on. He can get away from Tracer, make it a little bit harder to access, and then you can also have a lot of areas towards point B where you can play clumped up together, and you can really peel for the Zen without really taking all of your focus away. It'll be the Florida Mayhem on defense here, so nothing surprising from them. Same type of composition. The Tracer here, you probably have to wait till they come through the choke, give some space to allow Yaki to get some room to operate. Widow would be an interesting pick here for Baby Bay, and I like it as well. And I still like Ashe too, just because you can get some high ground here, which make it very difficult for Widow to access.
Yeah, as soon as Baby Bay would get on the high ground as Widow, it would be hard for Yaki to chase him down. Normally Echoes chase those attacking Widows, but there is no Widow, so cast that from your mind as we get prematurely excited about a composition. Edison and Co, all of them are trying to make their way in. Nice hold. They actually got a lot of value there. BQB goes low. Now Baby Bay thought about setting up on that high ground for a moment, but it's an open shot between him and BQB, and so it's a 50-50 in some senses. Dynamite, Chris down to the explosion. Yaki trying to make his way to the backside, but this might be a little bit too late in the day, as Fate just got picked up from a Dynamite that Baby Bay left.
As this is an easy offensive take here for the Atlanta Reign. Baby Bay still doing work. Some shots with the Ashe, Dynamites as well. As you see, this is much harder for Yaki to make that Tracer work. Not a lot of great like flanking routes, and even the flanking routes that you know of. Baby Bay, I mean, at this level, right? You're so in tune with like the timings of different things from different players that you know that flank is going to come in. It's the only route that Yaki can take.
Good start for Baby Bay. 4 final blows for him. And the Dynamite really punishing the Florida Mayhem as they clumped close together on that middle platform. Tons of time to work with here. Can't ask for much more than that. Looks like it's about to get even worse. Nice use of that Immortality field there. That is going to keep Fate alive. Otherwise, the round probably would have been over right there and then on the weight of that one pickup. All right, Gravitic Flux into Dynamite. The combo is good. And now the Reign fall like flies.
Yeah, Dynamite is becoming such an important ability to be able to throw and land in these big situations. We've been talking about a lot the series in combination with Halt. That time, like you mentioned, great use of the Gravitic Flux from Gargoyle. They're all playing in the middle. Choke point, and Dynamite just comes in, just all that ticking damage as they're in the air on the way to the ground. You're able to pick up some kills.
Matt, we track Dynamite damage, interestingly enough, and I'll tell you that BQB has 1,061 from Dynamite. Baby Bay, 270. Yeah. So that one Dynamite hit there in that last combo got tons of value for BQB.
And think about how long this map has been this far. It has not been very long at all. So crazy amount of damage, short amount of time. This could be pretty wild, though, if they're able to get a halt on all of these players moving through. They do.
Oh, and Yaki's there with the pulse. He gets rid of Dogman's Immortality field. Dogman likely was quick enough to get that one out. I feel like I'm saying that a lot today so far, but Dogman's been very responsive. Yeah, well, now that Bob's down, the Reign is still able to get onto the point and actually throw the rope-a-dope here at the Florida Mayhem. Edison knows he can be aggressive now because this is all borrowed health. It's free real estate as far as he's concerned. And he chases Gangnam Jin down with the sticky bombs.
Hawk with a Gravitic Flux. What does he get? There's 2 players directly to his left. He's able to get one, bring him down, but Gargoyle able to survive it. Gargoyle's going to have a Gravitic Flux of his own. See if he decides to use it here. He's got some players coming off the spawn.
Yeah, Mayhem struggling now. The rain surge forward. Baby still has to try and somehow deal with Yaki. He actually gets a coach gun direct hit on Yaki, which really hurts when you're up close. And Hawks found Gargoyle, so the reinforcements from the Mayhem are being cut off, and that will be enough for Rain to finish the round. Mayhem couldn't get plays there. And it's 3 minutes 36 on the clock here for the Rain. Good timing, good time.
A very good time for the Atlanta Rain, and you see them do a much better job dealing with that Tracer, who's a little bit easier to deal with, given the map geography of Temple of Anubis. Not a lot of flanking routes here. A very like the 3-lane linear type of map, to think of it that way. There's not really a surprise of like Yaki coming from like up here on a blink over our heads or hiding over here in the corner. Like there's not really that many spots like that here on this map. So maybe this is a map that we'll finally have to see Florida adjust.
What is the adjustment supposed to look like though, man?
I mean, you could play the Echo.
Could play the Echo.
Yeah.
If they don't fancy the Tracer play so much. I kind of get it though. I mean, the thing about Temple of Anubis is that, like, not only is it highly vertical, but a lot of this verticality is not accessible via like staircases and the like. Like, if you don't have vertical momentum, you actually just straight up can't access parts of these maps. Tracer doesn't have that. She's got incredible lateral movement. She's like the opposite to Batista in that sense, right? Batista's great.
Yeah.
You know, vertical jumps. Tracer, she don't have no hops, bro.
We'll see what they decide to do on offense. As Edison will lock in the Echo here on D for Atlanta. So no Tracer in play. I kind of like the no Tracer on defense, as like we mentioned, not a lot of great sightlines. You know, it'd be interesting. I would be okay with even McCree here. Like I think when we talked about McCree in the previous map, like, oh, why would you run the McCree? Like, I think McCree would be an interesting option here, like if the Atlanta Rain wanted to bring that in, if Yaki really became an issue.
Gargoyle wants to have a peek forward here. All right, Gangnam Jin low. They found that first pick here, the Atlanta Rain, but it's traded out almost as quickly as the first was found. Immortality Field gives the Mayhem a little bit of time to heal up, and they go for the high ground. Yaki went ahead of them, operating as the scout, and now they're able to use this information to open up the defense from the Rain. The Florida Mayhem, they're giving as good as they get so far, and Gator, there was no escape for him. Even fortified, he was surrounded. Edison gets halted, and Yaki's just in perfect positions to clean up these kills.
And losing Gangnam Jin hurts at the beginning, but it's almost worse for Atlanta to lose Baby Bait. I know that sounds weird because you're trading a support for a damage dealer, but when Baby Bait dies, he dies again to a 1 clip there from Yaki, but when Baby Bait dies at the beginning, like, you have nothing to challenge BQB at range. And this is an interesting switch. So I mentioned maybe bringing in like a McCree for point B. They opt to go with Torb, which is just as good of a counter, maybe even better.
BQB with a bomb. Only 1 letter difference. There's some serious affinity there, make no mistake. Yaki has a pulse bomb as well, so the Mayhem have everything they need from a slightly elongated fight on point A. They have so much time in the bank. They're stepping up here, but Chris is stood down. What do they do here without a Brigitte? Does Yaki look for a pick? Something with a pulse bomb, maybe?
I think you wait. Your Brig is too close to rally. I think you kind of sit in here. You already have your amp matrix. If they decide to like push you or you get in trouble, you have immortality. Florida's in a position, Mitch, where they know that Atlanta doesn't have a ton of ultimates with a switch on the Torb, where if they go in and get a good use of these ults, they're going to set a much better time.
Baby Base turret is down. The Torbjorn switch to counter the Tracer, something we saw quite a few weeks back. Releases to answer it. Pulse bomb from Yaki, this one. Well, it connects at least on Dogman's Immortality Field. Again, the Batiste response has been good from the Rain, but will it be enough? Gator is down. Yaki's pushing forward now. It's a flood of pink as the Mayhem players make their way forward. And Gator is not where he needs to be. Sorry, it was Edison, should I say. It was not where he needed to be. And it will be the Florida Mayhem set up camp, and they ain't leaving for nobody. They will lead in time bank as we head into extra innings.
Yeah, it's a very good time for the Florida Mayhem as, I mean, man, like, they had so many ultimates there to make that work. Like, it was such a smart play from Florida to actually wait until Chris came back. Like, there's no reason to rush that there. They get their Brig back. You have the rally. You have Bob. You know that Atlanta had just used their amp matrix. And Baby Bay had switched, so you know you have a massive advantage. You're up at minimum 2 ultimates, potentially 3. So Yaki in the chat says no Torb. Kodak responds with no Tracer. I highly doubt. Coach Kookie's probably going crazy, like thinking there's no way we should agree to this. So Yaki with a little bit of a smile. So I fully expect him to play the Tracer again, not give in to the peer pressure of Kodak.
Atlanta Reign. You know, I mean, kind of, they come in with such fire, Matt. Their attack looks, on any other day, it looks very, very good.
Yeah.
Here, though, well, the Florida Mayhem really turn it up, especially with that push onto point B. Make no mistake, it is hard to capture point B on this map in general. The fact that these teams are doing it really only speaks to just how good they both are, especially offensively here. But Matt, the Atlanta Reign come out with the Echo. And of course the Ash, so no big changes for them. Florida still want to work this Tracer.
I was gonna say I'm surprised, but at the same time I'm not, because they've done it all day and Yaki's just been popping off. So it would almost be like asking Dallas to switch off of Decay on Widow the other day. Like, well, you know, if he's really going crazy, you know, you're gonna settle for some of the downsides of the competition because he's so good at it.
Yaki, you know, playing close with his team, not flanking right now, hoping maybe he can get someone's head turned away from him and find kills as a result. Immortality fields are down, now it's a real fight. Yaki forced a recall, maybe concerned about a coach gun. He was a little low. He wanted to go over the top, but he can't get onto the canopy. The BQB probably happy here, just sitting back, getting damage down, but now without the Orisa, things get a little bit dicier for the Florida Mayhem. BQB can't find the hits and had no shield to protect him from Babyface Raph, who lands a dynamite and forces Gargoyle even further back. Edison will approach, Gargoyle down, and the Atlanta Reign now get to sit on the point.
Yeah, I think the Tracer's just pretty weak on defense on that first point. We've really never seen Tracer get a ton of play in this type of composition on defense. Like Dive, obviously, Tracer would get a ton of play on D, but that's a much different play style, which would suit Tracer better on that type of point. So, a minute for Atlanta to potentially take point B. A few players low, you use Immortality Field, and now Rally to push on in.
Here they go, Gravitic Flux. Kodak's able to sidestep that one. It's only a couple plays from the Reign that are effective, but that were the important ones. Bay down, so is Hawk. The Mayhem might have a chance to stabilize here, and the Reign don't exactly have a surplus of time on their hands. Edison heroically gets rid of BQB. But there's a lot of electric pink going on. And the Mayhem still have ultimates to carry into the next fight, which is so important here.
I was going to say, I love how patient they've been and smart they've been in Florida with using these ultimates. And now for the next fight, you have both support ultimates. You have a Bob, and you have this Pulse Bomb. You can get a Pulse Bomb in combo with a Halt. Even if it just forces out Immortality, it's big.
Yaki, where does he go with this? Can he just cut Atlanta Reign off at the source, i.e. the source of their healing? Pulse Bomb in, the hold combo again. Dogman gets there though with the Immortality Field. He keeps doing it. That's exactly what the Reign are asking for from their flex support star. Now the Reign get past the first hurdle, but they're straight into the second. They get a good Gravitic Flux though on the Mayhem. The follow-up is good. Fate is down. Edison comes out of copy and burns BQB down. The Atlanta Reign may be out of time, but getting another checkpoint here would be huge. Kodak is shut down. Healing now starting to become a little bit more limited, but Gator looks comfortable on the point regardless. Plenty of shielding. With Chris out of the picture now. Edison is down though. And here comes a Tracer. Yaki's back late in the fight. Yaki's going to be such a menace. Baby, despite being airborne, is still able to deploy some dynamite. But Dogman and Baby are down. Gargoyle saves the day. Gravitic Flux will answer. And almost a capture for Atlanta map, but not quite.
99.5 for the Atlanta Reign there. And the Gargoyle uses the Gravitic Flux. That's Yaki to touch to put it in OT. He uses their Gravitic Flux, and while the players for Atlanta are in the air, Yaki jumps in on Tracer, bursts down the Immortality Field, so when they hit the ground, they don't have the effects of that, and then get the kills off of it. Sick combo from those two players, but it does put Florida in a position where now they pretty much have to capture both points to win the map and get the 3-0.
Yeah, not a foregone conclusion at all, based on the way that this map has gone. Especially if the Atlanta Reign, all they really need to do is somewhere between point A and B is sort of build a surplus of ultimates and start to actually manifest an economic advantage, I guess. You know, like get some cheap fight wins, you know? Like, hey, let's say all I have to use is a rally in this fight and I get a win here, you know? This is what kind of went wrong for them a few maps ago, where they were like 5 ultimates to 2 and still lost the fight. So, you know, 2 minutes and 46, it's not a lot of time. I'd be interested to see if Florida makes an adjustment for like a more a more rapid take of at least point A here to get themselves set up.
Really? I think if you are so committed that you're going to run the Tracer on point A on D, you run it again here on offense. I mean, it's objectively better on offense here than it would be to do it on D. I think you have to, and also it gives you the opportunity where if you take point A, you don't have to switch. We know they're going to want to play the Tracer in the second half of the map, so you almost kind of have to bite the bullet and play it here.
Ult in, BQB just trying to pound that shield away. So far, so good. War of Attrition definitely keeping Gator on his toes. We'll have another barrier pretty soon, though. That's how Orisa kind of works. Yaki taking more real estate than Sideshow's forehead provides, but BQB goes down elsewhere. Edison was able to get him with a focusing beam, and that's kind of what you want to do as defenders. Sneak that one player forward, the same as you do against the Widow. And perfect from Atlanta, who know they need to burn some clock, Matt.
Yeah, so you deal with the Ashe, so now looks like Florida just waiting for the Ashe to come back up. Gangnam Jin's going to get very close to an Ant Matrix. You can wait for this as well if you'd like, and just really burst these players down coming through this choke.
Amplification Matrix, some aggression here. The Mayhem are really trying to force a fight. Can they get what they want? And get only an immortality field right now, and there's still a threat on the high ground in the form of Baby Bay on the Ashe, but can Yaki punish the low ground team? Baby Bay could be in trouble here. He's low. He does have a mini health pack and a Batiste next to him, so this is still dangerous territory for Yaki. And Fate is now down, so the rest of the Mayhem are in trouble. It's got to be a big bomb. It gets Gator. Now it's even on Orisa advantage. Yaki goes head first towards an increase, but BQB's able to find Baby Bay now. In close quarters are the Rain, and they're extra susceptible to Dynamite, but BQB doesn't have a clear shot right now, and we're almost down to a minute. 1 minute, 9 seconds remain. Florida need reinforcements. They need something more to get this across the line, and Bob might be the answer.
Yeah, Bob's going to be big here on the point. They're going to have to come out and contest this. The Sigma shield is really low here from Hawk, so they may not have the shielding to do it.
Again, BQB safely sat in the back corner now. It's going to be a Bob this time coming out for the Rain, but it's too late, and now they're caught. This could be a little bit dangerous. The Atlanta Rain are at risk of being staggered quite slowly here as the Mayhem aren't at full strength either. What a weird situation.
Yeah, you rarely see something like that. As Baby Bay's Bob doesn't make it to the point, his players retreating here for the Atlanta Rain. You still need pretty much a full take here for the Florida Mayhem to win it. The bad part for Atlanta is they have some things to work with to get it done. I mean, you're going to have Pulse Bomb, Supercharger, you'll get a Gravitic Flux out of this fight, you'll have Rally, and an Ant Matrix. As Florida's going to be loaded up with ultimates here to try and get it over the line.
Yaki. Where does he put this Pulse Bomb? Surely he doesn't throw it from low to high. No, maybe he just stays out of sight for now. He can't access Ashe right now. That's the problem. Obviously, we talked about this earlier. Tracer does not have vertical mobility. And if Baby Bay sits safe, it's up to BQB and Fate maybe to halt him off to deal with him. It's go time though, 20 seconds left. The Mayhem need a cap. Here goes the Pulse Bomb. It doesn't connect, but it's a trade now. Gator is down. No main tank, and Edison trying to step up in his stead. Adding an extra shield to the mix and another good immortality field thrown in there by Dogman. Edison, another flux. Surely not. The Mayhem up and down they go. Heaven and Earth keep reversing themselves, and they don't have any plays to contest with now. The Atlanta Rain will get it done, and they sneak away this all-important map to stay alive in this series.
Yeah, and they're able to get that hold there at the end. They have a bunch of ultimates of their own to get it done. And I was trying to see what Baby Bay's talking about in the chat, but for Atlanta, you get a map where Tracer is not as dominant there, and you're able to get a win. But now it's going to be the Florida Mayhem's pick in terms of map. So it'll be interesting what map they decide to go with. Is it one that, Tracer is extremely viable on? We'll have to see.
Well, exactly. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Map 4 is coming right around the corner. The Rain stay alive for now, but can they take the series into their own hands? We'll see after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's largest 5G network. Switch to T-Mobile today.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our second semi-final, quarterfinal, should I say, of the day. I'm getting ahead of myself, but the Atlanta Reign aren't. For them, it has to be one map at a time after starting decently far behind the 8-ball, but that Temple of Anubis pick, Matt, it comes up well for them. They're able to shut down or at least mitigate the effect of Yaki's Tracer.
Yeah, and I think what they're probably worried about is, like, what map was the Florida Mayhem going to pick next? Because that map could easily be one where Tracer could be strong on and really cause some issues. The Florida Mayhem decided to pick Junkertown, which is interesting. Junkertown is really about, like, your long-range snipers and whatnot, although there are a lot of opportunities for flanking routes, etc. here. This also could be something where we see them pull out, like, some kind of double sniper, maybe a different variation, like Ash Widow. We'll have to see.
Do you feel like... All right, so what element of Florida Mayhem's game plan that's looking good right now do you think this plays into? Like, why pick Junkertown, which is a map that's kind of chaotic historically?
Yeah.
Or, is like not considered to be like a home ground for any one team because of how weird the results we get from it are sometimes.
It just gives a lot of space. There's a lot of space to be able to operate as Tracer on this map. So to be, like, a lot of flanking routes. It's not like a lot like Anubis, where it's very, like, straightforward to the point. There's 2 chokes, 3 chokes at best. On Junkertown, there's so many different routes that you have to watch. The other team has to spread out to kind of cover all of them, which could allow Yaki to get some individual pickoffs.
We'll keep an eye out for that one here. It's clear that the Mayhem are really trying to play to their individual strengths and team strength now if they want to close out the series with a map pick like this. I would say it's not particularly normal when you have the chance to pick a map to go for this one here. So they've got to have something planned. Look, I don't want to I don't want to mess with anyone's expectations. It might not actually be that complicated. All right, it might not be anything like reinventing the wheel that sort of makes them want to play this particular map.
The thing that they should be careful, though, is, like, with picking this map, right? This map has resulted in some of the most, like, 50-50 kind of coin flip maps that we've ever seen in terms of Overwatch. I mean, so it's risky.
They're 3-1 on this map, though, so I guess, it's not their highest percentage payload map because they have, like, 1 win on Rialto, 1 win on Dorado, and that doesn't really, like, that's not enough of a sample size. But they're winning 75% of their matches, or their maps as they go to Junkertown, so that might be it. Maybe they just feel comfortable on it. We'll see. It is going to be a BQB Widowmaker. I'm here for this. This is going to be quite the battle. You're asking for it up against the Reign.
Yeah, so they want to match the Widowmaker duel of BQB dueling up against Baby Bay in terms of the Widow, and then Yaki now will play the role of Echo. So no Tracer here for the Florida Mayhem. This is the first time we've seen them move away from it this series.
Let's see now. The Mayhem are going to give a little bit of space here. Notice they're actually behind that building, not really setting up on the platform, but they're waiting for the cart to get to this choke. Not all teams opt to sort of abdicate control of the card up until this point. It does mean that the Mayhem only get 1 fight. That means they're hedging their bets on 1 very good fight. But with mirror compositions, again, it's going to have to come down to those individuals. So Edison is looking for anything, any way to get back in. He's got a Zen on his immediate left, but he may not be aware of it. BQB catches him out. What a great start to this fight, Matt. Faith a little bit low. Immortality fields now get used by both teams, but the Reigns one runs out first, and BQB, he's popping off.
This map's really decided by a lot of Widowmaker play, right? I mean, even in the past, nothing too surprising in terms of, like, tank lines and whatnot, like just trying to keep them as healthy, but you're really waiting for that Widowmaker to get a pick, allowing the Widow to then switch their targets from maybe the opposing Widow to start working down the shields and the tanks. That's when you can start to get some of that advantage, where defense is much harder, I think, for Baby Bay. Like, there's so much area in that back defensive spot here before point A to be able to get these pickoffs. Like, there's just a lot of areas Baby Bay has to look and be careful about.
Edison, again, hasn't made much more progress than we saw from him last time he was in this spot. Peeking over the top, takes a ton of damage from the sticky bombs, but there it is, that's the pick. Baby Bay finds Gangnam Jin here. Baby Bay needs 1 more kill, I'd say, and there's probably going to be a cap here on the Florida Mayhem, but no, it's going to be back and forth. Baby Bay is down, but let's see what Fate can do. Gargoyle playing that off angle admirably here and causing a lot of problems from behind.
Yes, he's just trying to get this gravitic flux. He's very close. His teammates, though, backing him up, getting to the cart. Fate comes back, and you'll be able to stabilize here for the Florida Mayhem. So they'll get a second hold, Now everybody comes back, and they do have some ultimates to work with, as Wallace was used during that fight by BQB.
1 minute, 50 seconds on the clock here. And the Reign have kind of still trying to work towards some of their key ultimates. They do have the infra side at the very least. So Baby Bay gets early vision on BQB. Makes it kind of hard for the enemy Widow to get anything done. But now he turns his attention to the main fight, just trying to tear strips off of these more durable targets, but he's caught in the flux. Brought down, still not a big deal for him with the Transcendence waiting. He's sort of like jumping into the big burly arms of a savior.
You lose your second shield, so you lose Hawk, so it's going to be very difficult to continue to push through. They use an Amp Matrix, which is going to buy them some space. That forces Florida Mayhem to back up, but Florida, they're able to hold on to both of their support ults here.
This is huge. A minute is left. The Florida Mayhem, the trump card is Junkertown in 2020 in this economy. All right, I'm good with it. I don't know how they were ready to weather the Australian heat, but Hawk definitely got burnt. And BQB knows approximately where Baby Bay is now. In the past, it was always Sire players stepping up big on this role, but BQB shows that he can do it as well as anybody else. Now Gargoyle can just push up a little bit more. The Reign, they've got to come up with something. And they're going to have to come up with a quick.
Well, the bad thing for Atlanta is that Florida's going to have walls here, so Baby Bay will be able to, BQB will be able to get that infra site, know exactly where everybody's coming from. You still have your Transcendence here, as Gangnam Jin's been able to hold on to it, and you're going to get a Gravitic Flux. Edison could make a play here, though, with a big duplicate. Yeah.
The Mortality Field, though, again, good catch. Edison low, Kinetic Grasp keeps him alive in his duplicated form, gets healing. Damn, he hangs around for a long time. Now he has to turn his back there as well, because Yaki comes on in, he catches Baby Bay, but the cart is still careening towards his first checkpoint. Now BQB knows he needs to physically get involved in the fight. He drops down. Edison and Kodak are both missing though, so that healing is struggling for the Reign. There's only Dogman left and he's low. Fate trying to find him just over the top of the payload. Now comes in with the pile driver, gets rid of the Immortality Field, and Yaki finds Dogman. Now Gangnam Jin comes back in, and it's a disaster for the Atlanta Reign. This is not where it was supposed to end for them, but the Florida Mayhem look like they are going to follow through on their promise to win here. Cart still moving for a moment. There was a chance there for Edison to get back, but Gravitic Flux should seal the deal. And the Reign fail to get past the gates. And they're in great danger of losing this series here and now.
Baby Bay in the chat already kind of defending himself, like, Yaki killed me all game, didn't really get a fair shot against BQB, but now Yaki just displaying how strong of a damage dealer he is. So BQB is also letting him know that he can't kill him. So Florida starting to come alive a little bit in terms of trash talk. It's probably a bit easier that they're up 2-1 and they just held them before point A. But
yeah, a bit of that fair weather trash talk, you know.
But that's besides the point. It's okay. As let them have some fun. As BQB comes out on the Widow here. He gets like one pickoff, 2 pickoffs. I mean, that's really the game, right? We'll see now. Atlanta's gonna need to turn up. Dogman does about the best you possibly could have done, by the way. At the end of that, of trying to keep his team alive. It's just him, Gator, and Hawk, and he's being, harassed by Fate, who's on the Wrecking Ball at that time. He ground pounds. He ends up using an Amp Matrix to keep his tanks alive. Immortality Field, about as good as you could have asked for Dogman there at the end. It just wasn't enough.
If Dogman has missed an Immortality Field
he's been
when he's been getting hit with Gravitic Flux, then I haven't seen it. I just haven't seen it happen.
Yeah, he's been really good with the Immortality Field and just the timings of it, right? Even with the pulse bombs coming down from Yaki in combination. So, Dogman, I think, even in the situation that we're in right now, has had a very good series for the Atlanta Reign. We'll see if Atlanta is able to put together a really strong defense.
Florida now, I mean, their win condition is established, and I don't think there's any situation in which you don't feel great about this. We may not get to see much of this map at all here. Either way, in fact, we won't. Just this first stage. The Florida Mayhem looking for that all-important first pick. Baby Bay commenting in chat, sort of that he and BQB never really got to have a Widow duel. Yaki constantly running in Baby Bay's direction and trying to pressure that enemy Widow. We'll see if Infrasight gives more opportunities for those kind of duels. Glancing blow on Baby Bay from BQB, who then just grapples back up into the sky. And man, it seems like Baby Bay's playing a little safe here.
Well, he gets dinged with a shot and he doesn't have any healing, so he has to play really safe. His one body shot at this point will pretty much put Baby Bay away. It may not matter since his teammates are gone. So this should be Florida doing the slow roll on in. Baby Bay comes out.
Unreal
dies.
respect. Baby Bay has time to type YOLO in chat as he jumps down to the car. And it's true, Baby Bay. You only live once. You only got one life that round, and the rest of it was cut sadly short by the Mayhem, who look to be dominant. And so not only with their first map wins against the Rain, they have a big match win against them here. And the Florida Mayhem advanced to the semi-final. The proxy comes true. They're
giving it the Dogman as well. Fate typed GG losers. So there's, yeah, you know what though? I don't want Dogman ever at Field to turn that he can't come in and kind of have some fun with it. It's easy to kind of joke about it now, but Atlanta they played Florida tough today. As although Florida gets a win, even with how good Yaki's Tracer was, a lot of these maps were close.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Two different styles, right? People might be looking, saying, well, the compositions look kind of similar, right? One team just has the Brig instead of the Zen, and maybe there's a Tracer instead of an Echo, but they play differently. And you can see where, one is stronger than the other, where that can sort of be a factor. Widowmaker was a factor there. We actually saw the Mayhem play to a strength that we didn't think that they would sort of want to go to. Like, I don't know too many people that go, yeah, BQB is going to beat, Baby Bay 100% of the time in that Widow matchup. But BQB has been a source of sort of hit scan prowess for the Mayhem over this season. But I remember watching him go up against Exi. We definitely saw that both of those players were tip-top in their field.
And we've seen Baby Bay be a really strong Widowmaker throughout his career as well. So to see them have the confidence in BQB to take that Widowmaker duel against Baby Bay here is huge. I mean, it's just another thing that the Florida Mayhem can throw at a team tomorrow, potentially, to try and make it to our final.
I mean, impressive stuff from the Florida Mayhem. And I think as far as the bracket is concerned, the Mayhem, obviously they move towards the semi-final now. They will take on the winner of the Philly Fusion and the Gladiators game to be played later on today, so keep that one in mind.
That'll be good.
A player of the match presented by Xfinity is undoubtedly Yaki for his performance across the series. I feel like BQB got some more spotlight towards the end, but it was Yaki who shut down Baby Bay on Junkertown primarily.
Is this the most anticlimactic player of the match ever? As Yaki just absolutely popped off. I mean, yesterday with Decay, I think when Jake and ZP were talking about it, they were like, yep, this won't be a surprise, it's Decay. But yeah, this is the same type of scenario. The guy just absolutely nuts on Tracer all day. Forced Atlanta to change up a lot of their comms, forced them to probably take their eyes off of the other players for a little bit too long. Really turned the tides of the series.
I mean, we always, as fans, commentators, viewers, we always gravitate to the players that are doing something a little bit different and are finding success with that, right? That's kind of exciting. And, I mean, the Tracer just hasn't featured too heavily in a lot of these compositions for a few weeks. It used to be like everyone picked the Torb because they knew there'd be a Tracer, they shut them down. But Yaki's getting a lot of value on a hero that he himself feels comfortable on here, and it allows the Mayhem to play a little bit different to what is sort of established as the meta and to get really big results. Now, it's still hard, Matt, to get value out of Tracer when you're dealing with a Immortality field who, like clockwork, is being used very effectively by Dogman. But if Dogman uses it for a Pulse Bomb, then will he have it available for the Gravitic Flux? I mean, it's tough out there for Batiste to deal with this dual threat of the Sigma and now a Tracer from the Mayhem.
And although it doesn't result in kills sometimes, even if the Immortality field is used, those players are very weak, and there are follow-up kills that come out of that. So it's not like going to be this huge thing where it kills like people tons of times to halt in the Pulse Bomb combos, but to get out the Immortality field out, also be able to put down some damage, it's pretty big.
Getting Baby Bay for a full series is always a pleasure as well. He's that kind of player that is not afraid to go for those big moments, even if it means he has to type YOLO in chat and lose a few seconds of card contest time before he does it. So, I think now, we teased at the start of the game, but we really feel like now you can be sure that the Mayhem have kind of turned a corner, right? Are really starting to show up. Now they're above benchmark. They're above that 500 team level with this victory against the Reign.
They move into a position now, obviously advancing in the bracket, like you mentioned, making it to the semifinals, playing the winner of Philly versus the Gladiators. They're in a position of, okay, well, now we know that they are, an ascending team in North America. How good can they be? Can they beat the likes of a Philly? Can they beat the likes of a Shock, who I think, just general consensus are your two top teams right now? In NA, Paris as well, very tough opponent for a lot of teams. I think that's where they kind of launched themselves into with this win. Not necessarily, it's almost like, okay, you've kind of graduated. We understand you're a top 4 team now. We get it. how good can you be in that top 4? Can you be a team that wins it all in the Melee? Can you be a team that's a real difference maker at our end of season playoffs?
Yeah, huge turnaround there. And yeah, I mean, you kind of pointed out that, you know, no one's going to ask less of the Mayhem now as they're getting these victories, right? The expectations continue to pile up, right? And I'm sure the teams wants that. They're ready for that. But they're kind of moving out of an era of being an underdog team instead of just not being expected to sort of light the world on fire. But now that expectation is going to
it's almost like
increase.
it's almost like the easy part is over. Like the easy part is kind of, I don't want to say easy because it's never easy, but the easier part is like turning it around and getting to, you know, you can turn it around, just add better players, you know, put better things in play in terms of staff and infrastructure and whatnot. The harder part is actually beating the people who already had that and they've established that and had it for a while and are really strong teams. That'll be the next step for Florida, and that's the much harder one to get over that hump. It'll be interesting how it goes for them.
Yeah, so definitely sights looking positive going forward for the Mayhem, but I mean now they have to take on the winner of Philadelphia and the Gladiators, so they've you know, immediately they're put up into the next echelon of you know, of competition and of expectation. You know, like everyone is expecting now for them to perform, and so be it. It's a bigger question, I think, for the Atlanta Reign now, who have a roster that people expect to be capable of, you know, showing these top 4 finishes, right? Especially in a region like this that, you know, doesn't actually have the likes of the Dragons, the Charge, you know, the Dynasty in there. For them, I mean, this definitely didn't look like a great fit compositionally today, at times at least.
No, but would I say like are you like, you don't count Atlanta, I think, out for the rest of the year? Like, I think Atlanta's a team that they have all the talent to do it, right? I mean, you saw today against Florida, we easily could have been talking about, you know, if they were able to deal with the Yankees Tracer a bit better and deal with some other stuff. We're easily talking about maybe Atlanta Reign like getting an upset here and moving on, and now we're talking about Florida kind of, you know, going back to being the way they were, and maybe Atlanta really trying to see their true potential finally show. Where I think Atlanta, I think as the season goes on, they will get better. As the more they deal with hero pools and different types of compositions, better use of their roster overall. I don't think this is the ceiling for the Atlanta Reign.
They definitely have the players to work with, right? They have surplus, I mean, they have surplus tanks, surplus supports, surplus DPS. They're in a good position now with players that they can sort of rotate through a little bit more. I think, though, like, I don't want to put pressure on anyone as well. I personally haven't seen sort of any sort of update on where Erster is at, for example. Definitely would be curious to see, you know, what is he practicing right now? What is he preparing on? You know, is he in position to, you know, like, because you always wondered this. So it's the same that we asked about Striker. Right. You know, and we always got these rumors like, yeah, he's been dominating on ladder. The Widowmaker's looking really clean. Like, I don't know what we should expect there.
We talk about, you know, where's Erster, but I would also kind of counter with, I saw nothing that was kind of wrong with their damage dealers today. Like, I thought Edison was perfectly fine. I thought Baby Bay played quite well on the Ashe. Like, you know, it'd be nice to incorporate Erster sometimes, but do I think he needs to be, like, in the lineup playing ASAP? No, I feel like he's still a player who can make a difference at times, but I think Baby Bay and Edison were perfectly fine today.
Well, there you have it now. The Florida Mayhem get to move forward here in the bracket towards the semi-final, and to get some words on that last match, we have Zoe here for an interview.
We do indeed. Thank you so much, guys. I have Yaki as well as Jade joining me here for a quick chat. Thank you so much for coming on.
안녕하세요. Hello.
깜짝이야.
Well, let's ask the most important question first here. Yaki, we did hear Dogman coming in with the heat yesterday. You had some fighting words for your team. Does this victory taste a little bit sweeter now that you actually
중기
took
선수
it?
이제 어제 도그맨이 저희 감독님한테 BM을 조금 하셨는데 오늘 이기고 오늘의 승리가 좀 더 달콤하게 느껴지시나요?
일단 저희 팀이 못하던 상태에서 이제 애틀란타가 저희한테 3대0 승리를 가져갔었는데, 하지만 이번엔 또 저희 메타이기 때문에 확실히 저희가 더 잘하기 때문에 승리가 확실히 와닿는 것 같아요. 그리고 일단 애틀란타 도그맨 선수가 좀 못하는 것 같기도 하고.
Okay, so he said, so it kind of sucked when we lost them last time, but we got beat by them when we were still pretty bad, when we were still pretty new. But this is our meta, so the victory definitely feels more real. And To be honest, Dogman was pretty bad, so this was easy.
I love it. I love it. I hope he's listening in for this one. Now, in preparation for this weekend, with no hero pools in place, what kind of different compositions have you guys been experimenting and
자,
playing
저희가
around with?
이제 이번 주에 영웅밴이 없었는데 저희 팀은 어떤 조합으로 실험하고 계셨나요?
저희 팀 이제 처음에는 이제 평소에 쓰던 전 시즌에 썼던 조합을 좀 써봤는데 이제 저희 잘하는 쪽으로 좀 가게 된 것 같아요. 저 같은 경우에는 이제 트레이서를 주로 나르게 되었고 BQB 같은 경우에는 애쉬 쪽으로도 많이 갔고 강남진 선수도 야타를 좀 잘해가지고 쪽으로 많이
So
갔던 것
at
같아요.
first we tried experimenting with the old comps from when hero bands were still around, but we eventually just started picking heroes we were better at, just overall. So for me that was the Tracer, for BQB it was the Ashe, and for Gangnam-jin he went for the Zen.
Well, yeah, Yaki, your Tracer basically went uncontested for the majority of this match, so good job on that. It was definitely so much fun to watch everyone fragging out. Now, in the semifinals, you will either face off against the Philadelphia Fusion or the Gladiators. Which of those two teams would you rather face off
자, 이제
against?
저희가 다음 상대가 필라델피아 퓨전 아니면 LA 글래디 두 팀 중에 한 개일 건데 어느 팀을 상대하셨으면 좋겠어요? 그리고 이유도 알려주세요.
저 글래디어. 그 이유는 저번에 보스타한테 지는 거 보고 그냥 이길 수 있을 것
So he
같아서요.
said, for me, I think I want the LA Gladiators because they lost to Boston, so it definitely feels like a much more winnable opponent.
That's fair. Well, regardless of what opponents you will be facing off against, we wish you and your team the best of luck. Yucky and of course Jade, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, we're now heading into another quick break and then we are back again with the next match of the day, so stick around.